I think this is actually the most popular story that we hear. She marries a stranger, and he turns out to be a bird. In the story that I read, when he takes her to the island, she arrives and there is a giant nest, and that is how she finds out that her husband is not human, that he's actually a bird. Sometimes he's called a raven, sometimes he's called a fulmar, which is a giant arctic bird. And she's miserable because he had promised her that he would keep her warm and keep her well fed, but all he's bringing her is fish, and she doesn't want fish. She wants seal and whale and marine. She wants, I'm not really sure actually what she wants, because at this point those animals don't exist, but she's unhappy with fish. And she's cold. And so at some point her father comes to rescue her, and when they're trying to escape, the birdmen start to create uh, a giant storm with their wings. They're flapping their wings really hard, and all the waves are coming up. And that's when the father decides he just wants you. He doesn't care about me. I'm throwing you over. Uh, and and when she won't let go of the boat, that's when he chops off her hands, and that's when the transformation occurs. So it was slightly different, and that one did not include the shaman version, but I think that it's in a lot of different ones.
Right.
There's another. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to go onto another variant. So go ahead and ask your
No,
question.
no, no. What I was just going to add is that in all of the variants, it's, from what I understand, is that it's about the Inuit respect for nature and their belief in the spiritual bond between humans, animals, and nature. It's all about a reminder to hunt. This I find really nice. It's a reminder to hunt responsibly and sustainably, and again, live in balance with nature.
Yes.
So probably the next version you're going to talk about is similar, right?
It's similar to that one, except for instead of her marrying a raven or a bird, she actually ends up marrying a dog, and they have an offspring. Half of her offspring are humans, and half of her offspring are dogs. And at some point, she makes a boot into a boat, and sails off her children. And the dog children become the ancestors of white men, and the human children become the ancestors to the Chippewayan Indians or natives, a tribe nearby, which they have a very complex relationship with. Sometimes it's peaceful, sometimes it's not so peaceful. And so that's interesting that her offspring are the creations of other people. And then her father is enraged by this marriage which she has with this dog man, who's also some sort of a shapeshifter. Once again, he throws her overboard, and he chops off her fingers, and her severed fingers become the sea animals, and then Sedna sinks to the floor and becomes the goddess and ruler of the sea animals. Now, my personal favorite is the giant version. Have you come across this one?
No.
There's a version where she is a giant, and she is ravenous. She's incredibly hungry, and she cannot be fed enough. And in fact, she's so hungry, she starts eating her parents. So her parents are actually named in this one. Her father is Anguta, who in different stories, sometimes he's like a creator god, and sometimes he's an underwater god. And then her mother uh, is Tassi. I'm gonna have to look at the pronunciation in a minute. She eats her mother's arms and one of her father's arms before he throws her overboard. Once again, she clings to the side. He chops off her fingers. Sea animals come about, and she sinks. She and her mother both sink down. And this one is mostly found in Greenland. She and her mother both sink down to the underworld,